Hi everybody, I'm Jennifer Tryon, and today we're going to use one of my very favorite products, the Gemini strip dies, and we're going to make this cute little throw pillow. Not only did I use the strip dies all on the front to make this cute pattern, but I also used them to make the custom piping around the pillow. These strip dies are so versatile. Not only can you use them as strips, but you can also use them to cut your own quilt binding, jelly roll rugs, so much more. And I'm going to show you exactly how to use them. So in using the fabric dies, it's all about prepping your fabric first. Now take your time to do this. So if you're using yardage or a fat quarter, you're going to want to fold it selvage to selvage and give it a press. We do actually want the fabric to be creased here just because we want it to be nice and crisp and flat. And then fold it again, selvage to selvage. We need it narrow enough that our die can fit totally over top of this strip. So once I've folded it again, I'm going to crease it again. Steam helps. So I want you to choose a bunch of your favorite fat quarters. I'm using the So Retro collection from Sarah Davies by Riley Blake, and all of these coordinate so nicely. So I'm going to iron all of these up into these very pressed flat strips, and then I'm going to cut out my strips. Okay, now that I've got them all pressed, I'm going to get my cutting plates, and here's the sandwich. You're going to start with your base plate, then you want your metal shim, because I'm going to be going through about 8 layers of fabric here. So I've got this one folded 4, so I actually can go ahead and put another one on top. It makes such quick work out of cutting these strips to be able to do so many at once. And really make sure everything is nice and lined up and straight. And then place, I'm using the 2.5 inch strip, but whatever strip size you choose, and make sure it's also laying nice and straight across your fabric, selvage to selvage. Then it's your plastic shim and your top plate. And I'm going to just put it in the Gemini. So totally electronic, no rotary cutting required at all to get these strip pieces. Amazing. And now you can see I've got my 2 strips, and now when you take them apart, ta-da! Perfect strips every time. Pretty cool, right? So I'm just going to continue doing that along the rest of the fabric in all my different colors. Now, because you put so many creases into the fabric, you're going to have to take them out. So iron up your strips nice and flat. Okay, I've got all my strips nice and ironed up, and now I can either have a scrappy look and just pull them off one by one and start sewing them right sides together, but I think I'm going to take a minute and line up the colors the way I really want them to go. So you could go like darkest to lightest, or have the dark strips down the middle and have lighter ones at the side. Let's just see what looks good together. And whatever strips are left over, I'm going to use as piping around the end. Okay, I think I got it. So now all you want to do is sew right sides together with a 1/4 inch seam. So now I'm going to go ahead and flip these over 2 by 2, just so I can chain piece these. It's going to save a little bit of time rather than taking one off the machine and then sewing the next. I can just keep on going. So if your sewing machine has a 1/4 inch foot, I would use it here. Just make sure everything stays nice and flush the whole way down. You don't have to pin it, but you should be shuffling it with your fingers every so often. Bring in another one. But look at how accurate and nice and even all of the strips are because we cut them with the dies. All right, let's press those seams. So I'm going to go ahead and press the seams all one direction. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, and what I love about making pillows, is doing a custom piping around the edge. I feel like that really makes it look professional and a little less homemade. So let's take some of our leftover strips and make the piping. So we're gonna need at least 4 to go around the entirety of this. This is gonna be a very scrappy looking binding, but I'm cool with that because it's already scrappy looking. And when you're making a binding, there's a bit of a trick to getting one long continuous piece. Okay, so in order to attach the strips together, I'm gonna do it on the bias. So I'm gonna run my one strip right side up, and then with right sides together, I'm gonna run my second strip that I want to attach to it, right sides together, perpendicular, just like this, so that when I sew here, I'm gonna be able to fold this down, and then we're not gonna have a big bulky seam. So you can either draw a little line or you can finger press, whatever helps you keep it nice and straight. And I'm gonna sew right on that line. So I've switched my 1/4 inch foot to my regular zigzag foot. And I'm gonna bring my next strip in and do exactly the same thing. So now we've got a nice long strip that we can use to pipe around our pillow. So I've just gotten some piping from the fabric store, and you wanna wrap your strips right around the piping like that, and then we're gonna sew. And so because we took the time to sew these strips on the bias, you're not gonna get a big bulky seam when the two pieces come together here. So this is a very inexpensive way to get a high-end look on your throw pillows. And being able to cut your own custom piping with the strip dies is so helpful. So because these dies are bigger, thicker, deeper, you could also cut these out of upholstery fabric if you were just doing piping on, say, a fancier throw pillow or even leather. Okay, so the piping is done. I'm just going to set it aside for now and finish my pillow. I'm now going to use another fat quarter for the backing, and I also need to attach a zipper. So I'm going to trim down my pieces now. Okay, so I've got the back and the front lined up. I'm just gonna fold this so I can cut it a little bit easier on my mat. I'm just gonna square everything up. So my final size should be 18 by 18. So I'm gonna use my zips on a roll from Threaders. This way I can get the exact length of zipper that I need. I'm gonna leave about 1 inch on either side, and that's where I'm gonna cut my zipper. Just make sure you leave one tab, push all your other tabs over for future zippers. And when you're prepping a zipper, you're gonna wanna put a little stop stitch on each end so the zipper doesn't come flying off. So now you can see the zipper is for sure going to meet the end of the fabric. Now we can flip it over right sides together and switch to the zipper foot on our machine. I am going to pin the zipper in place here. And always remember, you're sewing the zipper right side together. The zipper foot allows you to get nice and close to the zipper. Don't run over your pins, and the only thing to watch out for is once you get to the actual zipper, you're not going to be able to sew around it. Lift up the presser foot and just pull the zipper past the presser foot because it's too thick to sew around it, and then put your presser foot back down. And now look at how nice that looks. But I am going to top stitch all the way down to keep that nice and flat. Okay, with the zipper attached, I'm now going to attach the piping, and I'm gonna do it on the back of the pillow since I already added the zipper to the front. You can do it either way. So you're gonna want raw edges together, and I'm just gonna sew the piping all the way around the pillow back. Now, when you get to the corner, take your scissors and just make a little snip diagonally so that the piping can turn the corner with a little more flexibility. So with needle down and presser foot up, you can turn and not lose your spot. See, it more easily turns the corner now. Okay, let's take a look at the front and back joined together at the zipper. So that looks pretty good. You can see the piping is right against the zipper. Totally works. Top stitched on the one side. So now we just need to sew it all together. So you're gonna wanna make sure you leave the zipper part open so that we can flip it right side out. So we're just gonna sew all the way around, right up close to the piping, and then we'll be done. You wanna use the piping as a guide and get your needle as close to it without sewing on it as you possibly can. That way you won't have a gap between your pillow back and your actual piping. Look at how just piping that out really makes that look so professional. So just to get rid of a little bit of the bulk, so I'm gonna turn it right back inside out, and I'm gonna trim away some of that bulk. And then I'm gonna put the pillow insert in. You especially wanna trim any bulk around the corners. It's gonna help them poke out a bit more. I'm gonna give it a quick press. Okay, let's stuff it. And there you have it, a sweet little throw pillow you can make yourself with the strip dies. Not only did we use them on the front, but we also used it to create this custom piping around the pillow, which really gives it a nice professional finished edge. The piping is my favorite.